What's up? We're on the run again. I'm just going to get straight to the point. I know you probably couldn't tell because the video and audio quality feels basically the same, but we are on the run again. We had a good run at home, not being on the run. The various footballing authorities that try to keep me down. They started to get closer again, right? The CIA, the MI7. It's not even MI6. You guys haven't even heard about it yet. You will in the next whenever they pick the next James Bond. Which, by the way, I am in the finals for. So I don't want to leak that now. But very excited about that. We have and honestly, the reason we're probably getting chased down is we've got a bit of a controversial topic to talk about today, which I don't really enjoy. I never really enjoy delving into controversial topics as much as I enjoy just talking about your basic tomfoolery, especially when I'm having to talk about them and I'm on the run. I'm currently in an underground bunker, which is why this video is going to upload so slowly because I am having to upload it with the internet equivalent of whatever they had in the 1960s. So that's great, but that's fine. These bunkers, otherwise known as hotels, they have very slow Wi-Fi, and that's just the way that I've got to live my life. There's another thing I've forgotten to tell you. We do have merch. It's Loans merch, which is based off of a long-running meme that we've had in my Football Manager videos. It just says the word Loans on it. If you happen to be from that segment of the community and you're interested in it, the editor's going to put up what the website looks like. I'll try and remember to put it in the description, and it's only available for a couple more days. I just have forgotten to mention it on the Zealandism channel because it's true, I'm not a professional content creator at all. I'm just LARPing. And so that does exist if you wanted it. But anyways, what are we talking about? We're talking about Youssoufa Moukoko. And this is a topic that I usually try to avoid because it's a lot of he said, she said, and anytime you're talking about it, you're kind of, you're just fanning the flames. And there is one segment of people that basically every time somebody's black, they're just like, well, that's not his real age. Like that just happens. And all of those segments of people are idiots. If that is the way that you actually approach these sorts of situations, you're an idiot. And you need to understand the world and how this stuff actually works, how this stuff comes to be. Because it's also, I think it's racist. What do I actually know, right? I'm just a white dude sitting in a bunker, but it feels racist sometimes. Like Lamine Yamal, who was born in literally Barcelona, not even figuratively. He was literally born in Barcelona. He's 16 years old, and people are like, well, his age isn't, there's no way he's 16. Nobody looked at Wayne Rooney and they were like, there's no way he's 16. Well, I mean, there were a couple reasons for that. Wayne Rooney looked like he had 2 kids and a mortgage when he came out of the womb, probably. But also, like, he's white, right? Even though he's born in the same, the same sort of first world country, right? That has, and when I say first world country, the reason that matters, I'm talking about countries that have the infrastructure to be able to accurately keep these sorts of things, reliably keep these sorts of things, to not have nearly as much corruption when it comes to, let me slip this homie at 20 down at the records office and all of a sudden this guy's 4 years younger. And that's the sort of debate that's been around Youssoufa Moukoko for a long time. Because even though he plays for the German national team, even though he grew up in Germany, Youssoufa Moukoko was born in Cameroon. And Cameroon, I've never been there, right? But Cameroon is a country that has had a lot of issues with players' ages in the past. More so than basically any other country that I can possibly think of. If you don't know the lore on this, very recently, I think it was the Cameroonian, one of their youth national teams, more than half their players were found to be not of that age, right? You can roll up to most African countries, and in the vast majority of their, or all of their youth national teams are going to be accurate, right? This is specifically something in Cameroon that is a massive problem. There's, of course, the story of Silas Wamangituka, who is a DR Congolese player who is in Germany, who came out, I think it was a couple of years ago at this point, and he came out and just went, I'm not Silas Wamangituka. I adopted the identity of some other guy so I'd be 2 years younger. My name's Silas Mvumpa. And he basically came out, said, I want to be acknowledged as the actual person I am. He became 2 years older instantly, overnight. And that was it. And he just kept playing, and now his name is a lot easier to say, which, like, honestly is great for people like me that, Wamanga Tuka was really kicking my ass there for a little while. And Youssoufa Moukoko became a particularly big lightning rod for these sorts of conversations because, one, he's from a Central African country. Two, he's from the age-faking Central African country in Cameroon. And three, even though he's been in Germany since he was very young, I'm not going to say the exact age, right, because there is a reason I'm making this video. There's more information that has come available about this thing. Youssoufa Moukoko was a youth team god for Dortmund. He was somebody that when he was 13 years old, I knew who he was. He was somebody that was scoring an unbelievable amount of goals at the youth level, and of course became famously the youngest player in Bundesliga history. A player that when he was 15 years old, he would have played in the Bundesliga if that was legal, but it's not. You have to be 16 in order to play top league football in Germany. They've got laws around that sort of stuff. And so he became the youngest player ever, and he was this massive football manager wonder kid. But of course, his development has stalled a little bit. He is still a relevant, player at Dortmund. He's loaned out to the top league in France right now to, I think it's Nice. But he's not gone on to become one of the best strikers in the world. He's just a good top league player. And I think he's maybe made it into the German national team once or twice. Which, regardless of how old you are, this dude is definitely a legitimate and very good professional footballer. But obviously what brought him so much attention and gave him so many developmental opportunities was the fact that everybody thought he was 16. That brings us to now. Even though there's always been these murmurs and these rumors, and apparently who he was dating when he was 12 was way older than him, and so that made people suspicious, but also that's sus regardless. Somebody should have probably been paying attention to that, but I don't know any of the details, so I'm just going to shut up about it. There's a documentary coming out in Germany. It's not specifically about Youssoufa Moukoko. Okay, it is more of a documentary about football and the kind of human trafficking side of football, which awesome. That's great. There needs to be more awareness and more documentaries made about that. This is the Goal.com article about it. The documentary is going to be aired on the German channel ProSieben. And the man claiming to be Joseph Moukoko, which would be Youssoufa Moukoko's father, confessed to falsifying documents to present the striker as his son and reduce his official age. And so there are a couple of reasons that people do this. When people are born in situations that are not advantageous, when they're born in situations in non-first world countries, countries that don't have the infrastructure to prevent corruption, that don't have the infrastructure to provide opportunities or whatever, and then you move to another country. This is something that in my own personal experience, I have talked to people that this sort of thing has happened. You move to a country where you're able to get better opportunities, whether you're a refugee, whether you are able to immigrate somewhere. When you get there, there is a not uncommon practice to say that your kid is a year or two younger than they actually are. This is because the standard of education, let's say you have an 8-year-old kid, right? Well, if you say they're 6, they get to start in kindergarten, and there is an educational imperative to saying the kid is younger so that they're able to receive, education, receive a better education. Now, sometimes they'll go in and they'll say the actual age and then start them younger, and they just grow up with that generation of kids and whatever. But it can become more complex than just somebody just lied about how old they are. There are reasons that this happens. There are reasons that people do this. Right? What I find interesting about this is that Joseph Moukoko said, we did it so he could have better opportunities in European football. That sets off my bullshit detector a little bit. Okay, they've said that that apparently Joseph Moukoko is saying he's not his father. He lied about being his father in order to give him better opportunities in European football. That is a reason that maybe I'm thinking this isn't true, but also when you have you have the person that's allegedly Youssoufa Moukoko's father coming out and legitimately saying that he falsified stuff, you at least have to talk about it. You at least have to acknowledge that it's possible Moukoko is not the age he said he was. Now, what's the age difference? Apparently it's 4 years. And that would be massive, right? Because if you're talking about a 15-year-old playing in the Bundesliga, that's actually illegal, and you're talking about a 19-year-old playing in the Bundesliga, that is not surprising, right? That is a big difference. Now, if you're 19 years old playing in the Bundesliga, you're still a world-class player. I'm not insinuating that Youssoufa Moukoko is anything other than a very, 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 very good player. It's just there is a difference in the amount of hype and a difference in the amount of money and the difference in the amount of attention that a player gets in terms of development based off of their age. But when you look up Youssoufa Moukoko's life story, I'm just going to try and paint the picture here. But my bullshit detector is kind of metered a little bit when you look when he moved. So let's say Youssoufa Moukoko was born in 2000, like his, now alleged father, I guess, or alleged not father is saying. Then he was supposed to have moved to Hamburg in 2014. So he's supposed to be 10 years old when that happens. Let's say he's 14. By the time somebody's 14, that's typically the first point, according to heads of youth development, scouts, whatever, that you start to see that a player is pretty legit, right? When a player's 13, 14 years old, you start to see signs they could have something. And maybe you're seeing that in Moukoko, and they immigrate to Germany around the same time. And then you're saying, well, we want to give him better opportunities in football, so we're going to say he's 10 years old, even though he's 14, and because he's not tall, and he does look young. And so maybe that was a decision that they made. I don't know. And this story is made even more interesting that his parents, who still live in Hamburg, they go to watch basically every game. And so this really is the person that is his dad and his mom, right? And his dad is now saying that he's not his dad, and that they lied about that so that they could, they could pretend that he was somebody else and give him better footballing opportunities. Then that's something you at least have to notice. You have to take notice of. Now, Dortmund issued a response. Some people called this a massive clapback to shut it down. I didn't necessarily read it as that. Goal.com has the full response, so I can kind of pull it up. This is really just Dortmund's passing the buck on to the actual authorities about sorting this out. The biological parents and the date of birth are derived from official identification documents and birth certificates issued by a German authority. So basically, you immigrated, and then the German authority issues official documents saying this is who you are, this is how old you are, cool. These documents are still valid and the basis for playing authorizations and permits for clubs. It goes on along those lines. Basically, that's Dortmund's statement about this topic. They did not come out and say, Youssoufa Moukoko is this age and it's racist to say otherwise, even though it usually is. And like the Lamine Yamal stuff is what came to mind, where you're just like, guys, come on, what are you doing? But in the case of Youssoufa Moukoko, he's born in a country that has made itself famous for being the single greatest offender of age fraud in football. And now you have a documentary coming out about the trafficking side of football, the age lying and all these, the scouts, the development and the player movement and all those things in football, that includes an interview with Joseph Moukoko, at least allegedly includes an interview with Joseph Moukoko. I haven't seen the documentary, where he's talking about the fact that Youssoufa is not really his son, in which case he would be 24 instead of 20 years old right now. And obviously the trajectory of his career would have been very different. Now, somebody with his qualities would probably still make it to the Bundesliga. He just wouldn't have been considered one of the best wonder kids in the world at the time. But the funny thing for me in this situation, I feel like I almost don't even blame anyone. Because even if you are trying to give 14-year-old Youssoufa Moukoko a better life, you're not imagining that he's going to be like German national team playing at the World Cup level as a footballer. Maybe you've got that pipe dream if you're his adopted parent or step parent or whatever the situation going on here actually is. But you kind of just do this because hopefully he can get a career in professional football if people think he's a few years younger, and then he'll have a better life. And then it's like that meme from Succession where you open your email and then all of a sudden you get 1,000 emails coming in because it's like, wait a second, what have I done? You did it out of love. Maybe I don't know the exact situation. Maybe this guy was like an agent that was taking advantage of Youssoufa, but I'm going to choose the situation where you do this out of love for this kid that you're like, hey, we're trying to give this kid a better life. And then all of a sudden you've ended up running the long con, and you've created, when he's being touted as one of the best wonder kids in the world, you're probably sitting there like, dang it. That's gotten a little out of hand, like eventually we're probably going to have to address this. But just it's a situation that sucks all the way around. And obviously, Yusufa Moukoko's stealing opportunities from other kids that would have deserved those opportunities in those youth teams, in the German U21 team, whatever, who would have deserved the hype of being the best wonder kid that you could get your hands on in Football Manager, what have you. And so you feel bad for those kids too. It's a situation that sucks kind of for everyone. But if it is the truth, I think now would probably be a good time to come out with it, because it's clear Yusufa Moukoko is not finishing his development the way they would have hoped. And these rumors, they've persisted, and they've left the world of let's just be racist to like there's some legitimate substance to this that at least warrants looking into.